I guarantee if somebody watched you trade for a week, they could predict your next mistake. Not because they're an amazing trader, but because traders repeat the same mistakes over and over. Some people learn from them quickly, others learn after losing money. But eventually, the same lessons keep showing up. And that is actually the first thing most traders learn the hard way. So, here are the 7 things I learned the hard way. Okay, so the first one is if somebody watched you trade for a week, they could predict your next mistake. And I've got some notes to help me explain this. The first one is why. Why could somebody predict your next mistake? And to me, this is because you aren't reacting to the markets, you are trying to predict the markets. So the person can predict your next mistake because you keep doing the same thing over and over again. You're not changing. The markets change every day, but you're not changing how you treat the markets. And this to me is mainly because people don't treat trading like a skill. They treat it as if it's something they just saw on TikTok and they're just going to copy what the person on TikTok does and they're going to make a load of money from it. And that is not how it works at all. And another point is that I wrote down is you need to understand that you don't understand everything. You need to widen your vision and you need to really understand that it's not easy, it's not simple, and you're not going to just follow some strategy to get there. The strategy is something that you use to get there, but it's not the answer. It's like the method, if that makes sense. And the reference I also wrote down boxing reference, and basically what that is uh, I box, so I want to use boxing to try hopefully help you guys understand it. Because if I was to tell you to throw a hook or an uppercut, okay, say an uppercut, and I just said it was a punch that you throw upwards, yeah. If you were then to go and try to replicate an uppercut, like the correct form with the correct technique, and try get the same power as somebody that trains often and that is a boxer, you're not going to be able to replicate it with the same ability, are you? And that isn't because you don't necessarily know what an uppercut. For both the boxer and the non-boxer's minds, both you know what an uppercut is. I've explained it, and most people just know what it is. But you're not going to be able to replicate that, and not because you're missing some key piece of information. A lot of the time, the information isn't something that you can just write down. It's not an answer. It's genuinely just experience. There are so many small and subconscious things that you can't learn anywhere else but the market. You can't learn the small things to throw an uppercut properly and to push your power in the right place properly without experiencing and making mistakes and learning from them yourself. And the main takeaway is that you guys really need to start treating trading like a skill, not as a job, not as maybe not as a job, but not as a way to make money, but as I bet you if you treated it like a hobby and treated it like one of your sports, as say you people play football or whatever, and you want to learn a new trick in football, you're not trying to learn the trick just so you can score a goal, but it's the hobby. You want to learn it for the sake of learning it. Treat it like a skill, and you want the knowledge and the ability rather than, oh, this happened, I'm pressing buy, I make money. It's not. You need to treat it like a skill. The second point is, I guarantee if you track your next 50 trades, you will notice the same mistake repeating over and over again. And first off, I just want to know that if the fact that I said 50 trades popped into your mind and you're like, 50, really, 50 trades, that's going to take ages. If that is what popped into your mind, just click off. I don't like there's no point. You don't want to be here. You don't want to put the effort in. And I'm not even going to talk about that. Just click off if that is you. But if it isn't you, you need to understand this point. It kind of links to the first point. Whereas if somebody was watching you, they can notice like when you're about to make a mistake or what mistake you're about to make, because they're watching you. They're not thinking the same as you. They're observing what they would do versus what you would do. You need to basically observe and watch yourself. And how are you going to do this? Trade recaps. Okay, trade recaps is the biggest thing I will ever preach, ever. You hear so many people talk about it, and you need to do it, because you write down and you explain to yourself the mistakes you made, and you notice mistakes you made was like, I'll make a trade, I'll be so confused, like, what, how did that not, like, how have I not hitting take profits, why has that stopped me out there? I'm gonna be absolutely baffled. But I go and I do my trade recap later in the day or whenever it is, and when I'm writing it, when I'm making notes, I'm like, this is so obvious to me. How did I not even see this a couple hours ago? Obviously, like, why the hell would I make such a silly mistake? And I see the mistake so much clearer when I write it down and I come back and I view it later, when I'm not in that mindset of, oh, I don't know what's going on. You view it differently, and your brain can see the abnormalities, the differences, the things that aren't usually there, or the pattern recognition, or recognizing something that isn't in the pattern, if that makes sense. And pretty much trade recaps just speed up the process of finding your mistakes. And to be honest, a lot of you are very egotistical and overconfident. And this is another thing I wrote down, is you don't need to understand like the reasoning behind everything you're being told. Like, I understand maybe you need some credibility. You don't really know me, and I don't really have much behind my name for why you should listen to me. But if every single person, including me and all these other profitable traders, are telling you need to do trade recaps because they're beneficial, are you really going to sit there and be like, oh, but why? I'm not sure. If everyone is telling you to do trade recaps, bloody do a fucking trade recap. It's not that, like, it's not rocket science. If there are people in position X, if people are in the position you want to be and they're telling you to do Y, and you're not doing Y, and you want to be in the position they're in, you genuinely are just an idiot. Like, I can't say it any other way. Okay, so the third point is, I guarantee if you journal every day for a month, you will realize your strategy isn't the problem. And this isn't trade recap journaling. This is write down your, like, how you're thinking. And this is because, this is because trading is very largely a mental battle. Not as in like you're depressed, but like a mental, what do I do? I'm confused, problem, setback, how do I overcome this, and that. It is more like that. And I actually made a TikTok very similar, about this sort of thing. And it's, you trade how you live, in a way, in an aspect. If you are trading and you're just buy, sell, no, change this, change that, change the strategy. Oh, this mental's bad. Look, there's a change there, and you're like all over the shop. You don't know, you haven't really sat down and spent the time working on one specific skill. You've just been, opinions have just been flying. You keep backtracking what you're saying, all this stuff. That is probably because your life is partially like that in a way. And what I'm saying about journaling, I don't know if maybe you don't know what journaling is, but basically at the end of every day, you just sit down and you just write about your day. Not like a diary, not like, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened, but you just write down your thoughts. You're like, oh, this is where I want to be. Maybe I did this, and it shows that, like, that is the sort of thing that somebody would do if they had, like, if they were where I wanted to be. If I wanted to, be rich and a patient and a calm trader, and I, in something else, some other part of life, not trading, showed that I was patient and waited and analysed and then made the correct decision at the end, then maybe that's something you link, and you just write your thoughts. Kind of, you need to do it to understand it, but you just write down like your thoughts, yeah. And to me, oh shit, to me that is important because it gives you the base, gives you the foundation for how you should think and why you should act in the way you act. You study the way that you act outside of the market, and it can help you create links between the two. So if you're acting really like, fuck, what's the word? If you act without a reason, if you're just acting if you're doing something just to do something in like in real life situations, if you find yourself just speaking just to speak, and then you find yourself over trading, maybe are you just trading because you're trading? You're just, you're speaking because you're just speaking. It's just whatever. You're just doing stuff. That to me those are the sort of links you can create from this, and then you can fix your trading problems through fixing your life problems. And this is a win-win technically, because not only are you getting better at trading, but you're also probably becoming a better individual from the start anyways. You're working on yourself and all these other things, and you're finding you know whatever self-improvement, blah blah blah. But pretty much you can link your life to your trading, even though they may seem very very separate. Okay, so the fourth thing that I learned the hard way is something I haven't really heard other people talk about much, but it is that I guarantee if you write down why you entered into every trade, at the end of it, you'd be confused why you even entered into half of these trades. And this is the main core reason behind this, I think, is that people look for reasons why they should enter rather than reasons why they shouldn't enter. So you look for, oh, is there X, Y, and Z? Okay, there is, I will trade. A profitable trader looks at it like, is there X, Y, and Z? Okay, yes, I am able to take a trade. Why should I not? And it's more of a, I'm gonna put this into really stupid terms, but if you're looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you're looking, it's like green flags versus red flags. You need these three main like green flags to date this person, but that doesn't stop there being deal breakers like red flags. We're all looking for the three same things: the breaker structure, the liquidity sweep, the imbalance, the equilibrium. These are all the things that we need to enter. But you're only looking at the green flags. You need to look at the other things that would stop you from entering. Whether it's, are you trading away from a really close high time frame draw on liquidity? Are whatever it is, there are many things like that you come across whilst you're learning, I guess, yeah. But the main thing about this is majority of trades won't make sense, but kind of because of this theory. And to be honest with you, I haven't heard this from any other people, so maybe it doesn't impact other people like it impacted me. But after doing trade recaps, I really found this. I looked at it in a lot of times, and sometimes you take a trade and there's not even one of your confidences. You've just like completely forgot about it or something so stupid like that, and you don't notice these things. So you're sat there confused. Why did I lose this trade? I've got no clue. But if you just go through it and write down why you should have entered the trade, you realize there's something so obvious and so simple, and just such silly mistakes. And like, you need to really learn to try to prevent these mistakes as much as possible. And this is one of the ways to write down, why am I going to enter into this trade? Oh, there's low resistance liquidity to the upside. But now looking back at it, that reason isn't valid, because we're right next to other liquidity, or we've just hit equilibrium and we're going to the downside, or we just broke structure to this, or we just did this. And you need to, it is similar to trade recaps. I guess maybe it's a part of the trade recaps. It's like a more, yeah, it is a part of the trade recaps. And that is something that I guarantee to you. If you write down why you entered every trade for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, there will be times when you look back and you just look at it like, yeah, you know what, he was right. I got no clue why I entered this trade. Well, you got a clue why I ended this trade because you saw this and this, but I missed this and I missed this. Like, come on, you feel like, personally for me, I look back and I'm like, I should be smart in this, I should be better than this, I shouldn't be making these mistakes. Why am I still making these mistakes? That's the sort of thing that goes through my head when I'm writing down why I entered into the trades. Okay, so the fifth point is, I guarantee if you track your emotions while trading, you will see the root of your mistakes. And what that basically means is, if when you're trading, a lot of your decisions, a lot of your mistakes actually don't happen for any other reason than you're too in your head and you're too emotional. And a lot of people don't really realize that trading is pretty much just 90% mental and experience and being able to handle your emotions, because everyone has the same strategy. Well, not really, but you can have the same strategy as whoever you want, but then it's the mental side of things that makes you be able to turn that strategy into something profitable. And linking back to my previous point, which was, if you write down why you entered into every trade, half of them won't make sense. And these two very closely connect, because your emotions often take over the technical factors of your trade. So I've gone back and I've looked at some of my trades and I don't have a clue why I entered them. But then if you track your emotions, that's where the evidence comes from, because then you can realize why I entered them. Or I was really impatient this one time, so I didn't have enough confluences, or I saw this drawing liquidity that I wanted to target, and I was just greedy. I was like, oh, it's definitely going there. Bam! I was overconfident. It's definitely going there. Buy, whatever it was. Or I lost and I was greedy and I wanted to get that money back, so I revenge traded, and that's all links to your emotions. Majority of the time, although you didn't follow technically, like you didn't follow the right confluences, the right setup, the right this, the right that, you didn't do that because of your emotions. So that is where the root of your problems come from. And another big part of trading is, for me, you want to remove as many unpredictable factors as possible, because that's how you differentiate gambling and actually trading, is by being able to predict stuff and everything being least gambly as possible. The whole reason gambling is because it's like chance, and you want to make trading not chance and skill. And a lot of this to me is instead of just buying and selling, you have the technical factors which help you reduce the chance, and then furthering that again, you have the mental side of it. You don't want to be emotional, which creates, you can't predict what you're going to do. If you're revenge trading, you're there just like, I need to get this money back, and you're trying to force it happening, which is your emotions, which isn't actually the technical side of it. And those sort of things change from day to day. If you're actually following your rules, you wouldn't be revenge trading. So then if you won your first trade, maybe you wouldn't take a second trade and lose that. But if you lost your first trade, maybe you would take a second trade and lose that second trade also. So it goes beyond just the fair value gap, break structure, etc. And basically an example of this, putting it into real world concepts. If you're in a good mood or in a bad mood, or if you're if you're angry, if you're whatever, what emotion, just pick two emotions pretty much, and try to hide that emotion as best as possible and go to talk to someone. If you're angry and had a conversation with someone, and then if you were sad and had a conversation with someone, I bet you subconsciously or consciously they can tell a difference. Do you not agree? And this means when you're saying, oh, when I'm this or that or that or this, it's not going to affect my trading because I'm just taking the same trade over and over again and just seeing what's going to, but it does make a difference to the way you act and the way you reason things with yourself. And proof of that is, if you was to go have a conversation with someone when you were feeling two different emotions, they would be able to tell the difference. They'd be able to tell the difference. Your trade can also tell the difference. It's basically the same thing, same but different. Okay, that's the fifth one done, and we're on to the sixth. And it is, I guarantee if you remove one bad habit, your results will change faster than if you change your strategy. And this, I'm going to focus on the actual bad habit here. And the habit, it doesn't matter whether it's a, you know, habit you do in real life or if it's a trading habit. So if it's in real life, if it's sitting on TikTok too much, or if it's being impatient and quick to anger, you know, it could be anything. Being very argumentative, yeah, that's how you say it. Or if it's a trading habit, whether it's, you know, not being patient enough to wait for a certain break of structure. Let's say you saw a tap into an imbalance and you were just confident you bought before we even pushed back out of that imbalance. You know, whatever it can be. If you got bad habits, whether they're trading habits or in-person habits, they don't matter, because bad habits, they create friction. Okay, bad friction. And I'm going to use the example. Okay, so if you're an unprofitable trader and you want to become profitable, you want to like shift. There wants to be a shift in your lifestyle, and this I think you can link it to. Okay, hear me out here. But a rocket, like Elon Musk rocket exiting the atmosphere, and this is because the bad habits create friction. The rocket needs less friction. It needs less air resistance to exit the atmosphere. You need less bad habits to become profitable. And not only do you worry about the air resistance and the friction, but you also think about the power pushing you up and out of the atmosphere, pushing you to become profitable. That to me is consistency and just sticking to your rules. And basically, it's good habits and bad habits. Good habits are the rocket fuel pushing you. The bad habits is the air resistance. And you can have good, you know, you can be doing the good habits, you can be trading every day, you can be doing the trader recaps, you can be doing all of this. But if you are in person just such an impatient person, you're not going to be able to be a patient trader. And that is where the bad habit, the friction, the air resistance comes in. Because if you're a super powerful rocket, but you go up all the way past the clouds and all, and then the air resistance is so much that last bit of boost can't push you through. The willpower can only get you to a certain place. There's more than just do the work and the results will come. But obviously that's a big part of it. But you need to do the work and be able to push through the problems and fix and do extra. Do the work, but do it efficiently. And yeah, that's pretty much. So it's I guarantee if you remove one bad habit, so if you pick that one bad habit, let's say you've got really high screen time, you set a screen time limit, you half your screen time, I bet you will be able to see your results in trading, even though on the surface they don't look like they correlate at all. I bet you will be able to see a difference faster than you can learn a new strategy. Okay, let's go, guys. The seventh and final point. And first, just before I get into this last point, I just want to say if you guys are still here watching till the end, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, because these are the habits. These are this information that I'm giving you now is what basically has turned me profitable, is what's going to turn you profitable. If you listen to what I'm saying, you really genuinely put the effort in and apply this, like I said, I guarantee to you that you will become profitable with a matter of time. And with it being said, point seven, I guarantee if you review your best trades, you will notice the same patterns. Okay, and this is so unbelievably true for me. And it comes under trade recaps. Trade recaps, I will preach it till the day I die, because it's one of the best things that has changed how I trade altogether to such an extent. Because you look back at the trades you win, you might notice the same market structure, you might be using the same entry model. So you could be losing trades with imbalances. If you see breaker structure imbalance, you're losing those sort of trades. But then you have breaker structure, and then you have equilibrium, inverse fair value gap, and those are the sort of trades that you're winning. Those are the patterns. Those are the ones you can risk more on. Those are the trades you can focus on and you can make more money on. And another point, time of day. I don't like to trade after. This is for Forex, so this specifically is for GU. I don't like to trade after 10 a.m. for London session, so between 7 and 10. Oh my gosh, sorry. Between 7 and 10 a.m. to the first 3 hours of the London session and, to be honest, New York session, they are the key trading hours for me. I don't tend to trade after those. There might be, an odd time where I go past that, but that is like literally a 1 in 100 sort of trade, and that will be because there's such an aggressive draw and liquidity that I want to be targeting, or we're making such a sharp move at 10:30, 11 in London session I that I won't want to wait till New York session to be able to take that, because I'm so confident in where price wants to go. But as an unprofitable trader, I wouldn't even worry about bending the rules slightly. I just stick to the rules, and maybe if you miss out on that one trade, or to be fair, you can probably just wait to New York session and miss out on a little bit of money. But if you do miss out on that little bit of money, I'd be happy that I lost 10, 20, 30, 40, however much money it was, to be able to stick to your rules, because you're an unprofitable trader. You need to stick to your rules. You need to focus on the trading and the skill aspect of it before you focus on actually making money. And that is mainly because trading isn't random, it's not luck, it's not gambling. It is a skill-based thing. You wonder how these people become profitable and stay profitable to such an extent that they are, and make so much money. It's not because it's luck. They weren't gambling and they didn't just make that money. It's not like they just had one good trade and now they're rich. They do that consistently every single day for weeks, months, and years, back to back to back. And a lot of people, this is one thing that I noticed, and you know, just a couple months ago, I think it was about 4 months ago, just before Christmas, I found my edge. You have an edge. A lot of you have an edge that you just haven't noticed yet. I went back and studied those trade recaps, and I was finding things that I was like, oh wait, this actually, and I was finding like connects and patterns, and I found something that I made such a big change, and my win rate genuinely went from being between 30 and 40% a month to between 50 to 65% a month, like instantly on the day. Like, it changed the second I found this out. I went back. Keep in mind, you're not just going to go now and look and just find it straight away, because I was looking for hours every single day, all day, just for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And then one day I found it. I made the connections, and you can only connect these dots once you have enough trade recaps there to look back at. The work, it really does pay off. And I found it, and I went from getting, I think I had like a 40% win rate one month, and a 42, then like a 38, then like a 47, something along those lines. And then instantly next month, 58, 54, 62, 65, 57% win rate for the month, mind. And this was just made me so much money, because I was just being able to break even on the lesser win rate months, so the 40-ish win rate months. I was just being able to break even because of risk to reward. And now I was going like, I was, the confidence went through the roof, everything went through the roof, and I became such a better trader because I connected the dots between my best trades. This is such an important thing. If you guys can go out there, spend some time and really focus on this, I guarantee you guys will turn profitable because of something like this. And that is all I have it for today. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you can actually take away from this video, you can implement it, because I implemented these same strategies and it made me profitable, so it's going to make you profitable.